Welcome back to Football Picks. This is handsome Howard Kamen alongside the incredible Ben Walderman from Uncle Ben Sports. And Ben, this week is an interesting week because there's a lot of games out there that I think the bookies are trying to sway the action a certain way. I mean, I know you call them fish spreads.
Totally.
Games where the public say, wow, this team's only 3-point favorites. They're going to destroy. And then what ends up happening is the other side, lo and behold, ends up covering the spread. So let's first talk about, I think it's important for the general public, and if there's one lesson we can teach the general public out there is watch out for these, what they call trap games, fish spreads, games that when you first look at it, you say, this looks too easy to believe, but it never ends up happening that way. Vegas does not give away money for nothing. So Ben, maybe you can expand a little bit on what you look for in a fish spread, a trap game.
Well, I agree with you, Howard. There happens to be a lot of what I call looks too good to be true fish spreads this week. I mean, let's just talk about that for a second before we get to our picks. I'm looking at consensus betting, and we talk about this all the time. The New Orleans Saints are playing against the New York Jets this week. Over 80% of the action's coming in on the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are looking like they're probably one of the top, if not the top teams in the NFL. The New York Jets lost by 40 points last week. They're going in, the line started at 4. Now it's up to 6 points because the action just keeps piling in on the New Orleans Saints. I say buyer beware. You know the Jets are going to play better than they did last week. You did. And it's a non-conference road game for the New Orleans Saints. Very important game on their schedule. And I just think that's a bit of a fishy spread.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there's a law in football as well that you never look as bad the week before and you never look as good as the week before. And then you talk about a sandwich game because New Orleans might look at this game and say, you know what, we're going to New York. New York got smoked last game. Psychologically, they don't have to get up for it the way they would for, like you say, a conference game or a big game like that. So,
right, and they got the Dallas Cowboys next week coming in New Orleans, so they might be looking ahead a little bit to that too.
Ahead.
You know, another one of these spreads that looks a little fishy, like you said, is the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, the Indianapolis Colts looked like world beaters 2 weeks ago against the Denver Broncos. They're coming in off a week of rest. They had a bye last week. They're playing against a horrid Houston Texan team that's 2-5. They're starting a rookie quarterback, Case Keenum. It just looks like the Indianapolis Colts are way, way better than this team. The spread is 2 points in this game.
Crazy.
Indianapolis is favored by 2 points. I say buyer beware. The Houston Texans are probably going to win this ball game, Howard.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm definitely a proponent to say that if something looks too good to be true, go the other way because it never works out that way. But let's move forward now with our picks, Ben, because I know you've got some doozies, and this is when you start to heat up. You kind of, for the beginning of the season, you kind of feel your way through things. You stay around the 500 mark, and then you make your move, and you start to inject speed into what you do. So,
correct. Typically, the money-making weeks in the NFL are week 9 through 14 because 15 and 16, you don't know what's going to happen. People clinch positions. They rest players. You're not exactly sure. Now is the time. Now, getting back to, here's my number one fish spread of the week, and it is on my service, Howard.
Okay, great.
And I'm talking about the 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs. This is really a complete and utter fish. It's the number one fish of the year, in my opinion. A couple weeks back, we had Chicago playing Washington was a big fish. This one is right there with it. Going in to play the 3-5 Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 3 points. Howard, what's up with that is all I can say. Well, the Chiefs take their 8-0 act on the road, and you know what's going to happen. They're trying to avoid the inevitable, their first loss of the season. But let's talk about the Buffalo Bills for a second, okay?
They played okay.
They're 2-2 at home, all right? They lost to New England by 2 points the first week. They beat the Carolina Panthers, who happen to be on quite a roll right now. They beat the Baltimore defending Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens at home, and they lost to Cincinnati Bengals, another 6-2 team, in overtime at home. So the Buffalo Bills have played very well at home, and they are tough to beat at home. The odds, this is a complete fish spread, and the odds makers are, telling us something here. They want all the Kansas City action, okay? Don't give it to them. I want to tell you a couple other little interesting notes here, that the Kansas City Chiefs are 1-13 straight up in games against teams hailing from the AFC East, their last 14 trips. Now, granted, the Chiefs haven't been good the last few years, but neither have the Bills, okay? So, it's sort of equal ground there. So 1-13 is not a good number, and they're 0-9 against the spread their last 9 playing against the AFC East. Interesting, isn't it? Just interesting. And I think that the Buffalo Bills are 5-1 straight up and 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I say upset special here. the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game outright this week, folks. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs are going down.
I tend to agree with you fully on that. I think the Buffalo Bills are an excellent team to bet on at home. They've done that over the history of their career. And any team that goes into Buffalo, no matter how good they are, they always have a hard time coming out of there with a victory. My first selection this week, and you mentioned it a little bit about early on when you were talking about the fish spreads, but I couldn't agree with you more. And I like the New York Jets this week as well. I mean, for two reasons. Number one is, I mean, if you look back 2 weeks ago when they beat New England Patriots at home, New York Jets, when they do play well, for whatever reason, they're a hot and cold team. They can't compete with some half-decent teams. I mean, especially when they're at home. For whatever reason, Geno Smith gets on a roll, and you know the team does well. And they proved that against the New England Patriots when they actually beat them in overtime. New Orleans Saints are a hot and cold team as well. I think New Orleans Saints are a team that are going to probably go to the playoffs this year. They're probably going to have a good.
Oh, no question.
But I think they're kind of a team that's going to go through a little lull at this time of the schedule. The next 2 or 3 games is when they kind of might take a little bit of a dumping, and I expect that to start this week against the New York Jets. So take the Jets, take the points. Like Ben said, it does have fish written all over it as well.
Totally.
And that's one of the reasons I like the New York Jets this week.
If I could just interject here for 1 second, I would wait on that one. If you're going to take the New York
Jets,
Jets,
go up even higher.
I would think the line will go even higher with 80. It's over 80% right now. You know, there is some New York money that might be waiting there to come in late too. It's possible, which could keep the spread where it is. But I don't see the spread going down at all, so I don't see any advantage to jumping on the Jets today or right now. I'd wait right till the kickoff time because you might be able to get, improve your chances and get that touchdown, which is a big point, Howard. Okay, if I'm going to go now back to my second pick of the week, you got the 1-6 Minnesota Vikings going into the 4-4 Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys are favored by 9.5. The spread has actually gone down. It started at 10. Like we talked about in the earlier segment, the Cowboys look like they're in turmoil now. They gave up the late touchdown last week. Des Bryant was doing his tirade on the sidelines, and the public perception is now that Dallas might be in a little bit of a problem down there. Well, I say the 1-6 Minnesota Vikings, 2-5 against the spread, would love to have these problems that the Dallas Cowboys had because this team is horrible. Adrian Peterson can't be the savior when they're doing 8- and 9-man fronts, forcing these quarterbacks, whether it's Christian Ponder, Matt Castle, Josh Freeman. I don't see this team getting it done. Their quarterback situation is horrible. Dallas Cowboys are going up to New Orleans next week to play in the Superdome. The week after that, they're playing in New York against the Giants. They know that. They're looking ahead at the schedule. This is a game that the Dallas Cowboys must have. Winners cover the spread 84% of the time. I don't see the Dallas Cowboys losing this game to the Minnesota Vikings. I say lay the 9.5. Leslie Frazier's lost this team completely, okay? And I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to rebound big at home before they head out on the road for those 2 difficult games. I like the Dallas Cowboys minus the 9.5.
My second pick this week, I like Seattle Seahawks. What is that spread at now? What's it?
I believe it's at 16, Handsome Howard.
It's high spread, a lot of points to give up, but Seattle's at home. And this is when Seattle last year started really, really blowing teams out at home. I recall there was a couple games they won by even over 30, 40 points at home last year around the second half of the season. They didn't look impressive Monday night. I mean, their defense played well like they always do, but they weren't able to put the football in the end.
Put the puck in the net.
Put the puck in the net. We're Canadian here. Put the ball into the end zone, and I see a big performance this week by Seattle, the offense and the defense, and a bruising victory. I mean, Tampa Bay is going nowhere this year. Could be one of the worst teams in all of football, and I can't even see them being in the game.
Yes, I'm surprised the spread is so low, Howard. I mean, I like that pick. First of all, I don't know how you could even consider betting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as we talked about earlier in our segment about teams that can't score. They've scored 86 points, folks, in 7 games. It's just not going to cut it up in Seattle. I agree with you there. Now I'm going to turn to my final pick, and this one is a double play now. In my How to Win section,
Double play?
A double play, yes.
I thought you don't go double play.
Well, I'm going to tell you now. In my How to Win section, it says consistent dollar wagers. But it does say in my How to Win section as well, there might be cause
for a double play
to up your wagers in certain games. And we've only had 2 such plays this year. We had LSU against Florida about a month ago, was a winner. And last week we had the New Orleans Saints against the Buffalo Bills, also winners. So we're 2-0 on our double plays, Howard.
Let's
and
hear
this
it.
week I'm giving out another double play, and I'm giving it out on the Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens, okay? The defending Super Bowl champions have a losing record, and the Ravens have owned the Cleveland Browns since they moved out of Cleveland to Baltimore. They're 22-7 lifetime against this team. They've won 11 straight games against the Cleveland Browns. They're 5-0 straight up and against the spread their last 5 trips into Cleveland. And I just think this team is it's time for them to step up their game after a bye week. You know, they've lost 2 in a row to Green Bay and at Pittsburgh. Like I said, they're coming off a bye week, so they haven't won a game in a month, Howard. And another interesting point here is that defending Super Bowl champions sporting a losing record off a pair of losses, okay, which has only happened 13 times since 1980. They're 12-1 straight up and 11-2 against the spread. So it's time for these teams to sort of get it together if they want to have any chance of getting to the postseason and defending their title. Also, the Ravens are 5-0 both straight up and against the spread in games off a bye under head coach John Harbaugh. And it's just time for the champs to return to form with an extra prep off 2 losses. And the Browns look to be the perfect punching bag the way I see it, Howard. I like the Baltimore Ravens this week to get back to 500 because they don't want to be 3-5 going into the second half of the season. And win big in Cleveland, -2, 2.5 points. Double play.
Well, you heard it there. Double play here by Ben. He does have his double plays on fire right now. So get the money out, get the plays ready, the Baltimore Ravens. And I would tend to agree. I mean, if Baltimore is going to make a move this year, they got to start right now. Now is the time. Baltimore Ravens do well against Cleveland. Lay it in there. My final pick of the week is and this is a team that's really, really been inconsistent all season, but the Washington Redskins are back at home. They're playing the San Diego Chargers. What are they,
I think the spread's 1 point. Yes, the Chargers are favored by 1.
Chargers favored by 1. I just like Washington at home. I think San Diego is the type of team that when they go on the road, they're based on their record, they don't do well on the road. Washington, they beat Chicago a few weeks ago at home. They played well against Denver for 3 quarters last week. They were right in the game, and then they folded up in the 4th quarter. But I expect Washington to come out all guns a-blazing this week and covering that 1-point spread against the San Diego Chargers.
Well, that's a very gutsy call, I'd say, Howard, because it's an important game for the Chargers, too. And the Chargers did have a week off last week.
Okay.
So they're coming in, they're coming in off with a little bit of rest, so the traveling won't be such an issue for them. It's not like they were, on the road again last week. But I appreciate where you're coming from there. Their offense, it should be I'm thinking over in this game.
It should be a high-scoring
Howard,
affair.
I think there's going to be. It seems to me like the Washington Redskins games are all going over. If you want to know the truth,
no defense,
right? No defense and pretty good offense. So and San Diego could move the ball. Phillip Rivers is having a great year. Their defense has been a lot better, I got to say, this year. But if you like the Washington Redskins, that's good enough for me. I say take the over in that one, guys.
Could be a good play over as well, folks. If you think Ben knows NFL football, which obviously he does very well, he shines with college football. And he's got some great picks coming up for you this week in the college gridiron, and some interesting plays, I think, are looking...
Always interesting, Howard. Always interesting.
And so don't go away, folks. We're going to be right back with Uncle Ben's college picks of the week right away.